When you think our border cannot get any worse, you will never believe what the Biden-Harris administration just did. And it happens to be to a group of individuals who literally despise us. But we're going to talk about that today and what they actually just did and who they just let in our country. Not only that, we're going to talk about how I like the definitiveness of what is going on with one country. When they decide to go do something, they do it, they get it done, finish it up. America wants to go forever wars and spend tons of Americans' taxpayer dollars to fight for nothing, ultimately to fatten pockets of politicians and bureaucrats. So I like what Israel is doing, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Are you worried about your rights as a parent? Well, there's states that are now voting and passing laws that allows them to, you as a parent, to kind of kick you out of the way if you don't embrace what your child is thinking. You know, they're children for a reason, because they need you to help them grow up. You are their parents. But there's a lot of states saying, nah, that's not the case. And then my plea for people of faith and conservatism. This is your time to shine. You've got less than really 3 weeks, and you need to be proactive in truly seeking wisdom. When we seek wisdom, there's only one party that is representing you more. This goes back to the state situation just a second ago. And then finally, 2 more things. Our debt has went up exponentially. We'll talk about that and how much we just spent in just a matter of days. And along with that, on financial news, BricsPay just came up and running. As I told you about the conference they are doing, they're now competing against us. And it's not cash, it's digitized forms. You know what I told you about convenience monies and how they get you to cryptos and get you to pay with your phone? It fits perfect in building currency against your cash, which is your freedom. Let's dive into all these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here. You see I'm still in a construction zone. I've got a ladder. The security screens we'll be putting on the house, paint, just a little bit of everything, because we are almost done with this renovation. But you know, when you're so close, you're still so far away. I'm ready to get finished with it. It is a beautiful day here in South Mississippi. Cold, actually lit a fire. Love the nostalgia, love the fall season. I can't wait to put my Christmas up. Is it too soon? I don't know. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up if you like this content. It means the world to me, and I humbly ask that you share this with your friends as we try to go wiser in this crazy world that we live in. Now, first let's start about the finances. Elon Musk just put out this chart that was kind of trending across with Geier Capital. It says 500 billion was just added to the national debt within 3 weeks. $500 billion were spent in 21 days by our government. It is running out of control. Elon Musk says excess government spending is driving America to bankruptcy. Now let's just talk about this. There is only one side who is saying we need to get a hold of spending. You know, I know, we all know we can't just keep spending frivolously like we're doing. This administration spent $500 billion in debt in less than 3 weeks. We have got to get a hold of it. Now, that brings me to the next point of how dangerous BRICS is. I told you a few weeks ago when we talked about preparing your cash, we need to get to where we buy things with cash. I absolutely love going to restaurants and going to businesses that says, well, you have a cash price and then you have the credit card price. I love that because I pay cash and it makes sense, because if they got to assume those fees, then really they should pass it on to the consumer. Here's why. The reason I want you to pay more when you're using credit cards or using your Apple Pay or your phone or whatever it is, because what it's doing is teaching you, you are going to pay more, and it's actually taking away from your freedom when you're not paying with cash. Well, BRICS just came out with their new system. Their new system is now using a QR code system, and guess what? They're using your phone. So when I tell you that crypto and that all this digitized forms of money is ruining America and ruining the world, bam, there it goes. When all these younger generations are embracing no banks, no bricks and mortar, just all on your phone, everything digitized, all on apps, BRICS found the reason to say that's why we're going to go to it too. And so therefore, America will use a form of crypto or stable coin to do the exact same thing. Please don't buy into this nonsense. I know my older people are going to say that's stupid anyway, but younger people, cash. If you want a parallel society, it's cash. Go back and actually do the research. You will be surprised that Bitcoin and crypto is not freedom. Go back and watch some of the biggest, watch the last interview with Tucker Carlson, one of the makers and one of the accountants that were tied to FTX. Now, he was not part of the scheme part, but go back and watch that interview, because then you'll realize crypto is not all it cracks up to be. Go back to cash. And if you have cash, guess what? You're going to spend less. Just think if our government actually kind of went on the same thing. If they don't have the money, they can't spend it. If you can't get debt and you have to use cash and you cannot use credit, you're actually going to save money, and it's going to make you more responsible, more prosperous. Please pay attention to these stories. BRICS coming out with another QR form of payment. This is exactly what they want you to do, is fall into this, because guess what? They're catching all your data when you're buying all this. When you buy it online with all these apps, they're catching all your data. Don't be stupid. Now let's move on to the very biggest story that I want to talk about today. But before we do, a word from our sponsor. If you're like me and you take pride in your home, you do everything you can to protect it. But when's the last time that you checked the title of your home? You're good at checking doors, good at checking windows. But what about the title? If you've answered, well, I've never done that, or found a reason to, this may be the time to do it. For most of us, our home is a sanctuary. The last thing you want is the biggest investment you have to be taken from you. A new report shows that in America, that Americans have built up $32 trillion in home equity. That means money they've put into their home as an asset that is vulnerable. This makes us a major target for crimes. The FBI calls it home stealing, where scammers can transfer your home title out of your name, or take out loans, or drain the value of your asset. If no one is watching your title, this could happen to you. But it takes time, it takes money. How can you fight this if you don't even know where to start? Well, that's why we've partnered with Home Title Lock. Let them take care of your home title so you can focus on what really matters, what's in your home, your family, your goods, and also the value of your home. You can sign up today for the triple lock protection. That's monitoring, that's alerts, and that's also title restoration. You can get a complete title scan in 30 days free protection by using my promo code THEMAX. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code THEMAX. Scan your title, make sure of course you're safe, but now let's put it under their protection. HomeTitleLock.com/TheMax. This is pennies a day. This is one of the best investments you'll ever do, because your home is your biggest asset. Check out Home Title Lock's triple lock protection, HomeTitleLock.com, promo code THEMAX. You will be glad that you did. Now, I tell you what, I gotta get your house in order like the last ad. Did you see this? This blows my mind. Blows my mind. Biden-Harris administration with the Department of Homeland Security. I love the fact that they're called the Department of Homeland Security, people, and it's doing the exact opposite. They just offered temporary amnesty to 11,000, guess where? Lebanon nationalists. Now remember, these are the Lebanon nationalists that are pretty much tied to this Middle Eastern turmoil with the Hamas and Hezbollah and Israel and Palestinian. I mean, we're now saying, okay, yes, let's bring more Middle Easterns into our country, and we want to give them amnesty. Now, why can we not learn our lesson? The Department of Homeland Security is wanting to import 11,000 more Lebanese Middle Eastern immigrants to where an area in the Middle East that actually, there's no area in the Middle East right now other than Israel that actually likes America, and we're wanting to bring them to America and give them status and say, yeah, you come over here, we'll take care of you. Don't you think that, again, just like the $500 billion we spent 21 days, deficit spending, don't you think this cost us money? Are you happy that your taxpayers are going to now bring in Middle Eastern families across here and give them amnesty? President Joe Biden and Vice President Harris is providing a so-called temporary status for Lebanese nationals, 11,000 to be exact, living in the United States, ensuring that they will not be deported and they can have American jobs. This came out on Thursday. DHS Secretary Mayorkas, which is an absolute joke, gave TPS, temporary protective status. Same thing he gave to the Haitians. That didn't work out too well. who would allow them eligibility to be able to get homes, to work, and make sure that they have special relief. Now that means spending. That means they're taking your taxpayer dollars. All the while we have hurricane damage, all the while we have all the problems, we have deficit spending like crazy, but Biden Harris wants to give more people status of safety here in America. While they're giving safety, quote unquote safety here in America for all these people, they're actually giving a non-safe atmosphere for Americans. Most of the crimes committed in these cities now are tied to a lot of this migrant issues. Studies show in a Breitbart article that 40 to 50% of some of the crime waves that are happening around these shelters and are tied to migrants. No, but we gotta have them. So you want Biden Harris to lead you? You want Harris to lead you for the next 4 years? You want more people into your cities and into your areas? Now, I didn't see in the article where they're putting all these people, but it didn't really work out good in Ohio when all the Haitians came in. So where are they going to put the new Lebanese migrants that are now going to take American jobs? Absolutely crazy. All right, 2 more stories. One is going to be on Israel, and the next is going to be on your thoughts as a parent, because I believe as a parent you're going to actually lose rights more and more if you stay in some of these states. I want to bring up the fact of sin more being eliminated. One thing I do like, and Trump did this with the Iranian general Soleimani. I don't want to see death of anybody, but if people just keep threatening us and threatening us and threatening us and threatening us, I like the approach that Israel takes. I'm sorry, you can hate me for it, but I like the fact that if they're going to go do something, they go do and they dismantle and they let it go. They're done. That's why no one wants to lead Hamas or Hezbollah anymore, because they're dying that quick. In a matter of just days, 2 leaders of one and another leader of the other got destroyed. That shows what true leadership is, because guess what it does? It makes it where nobody wants to take leadership positions in some of these terror organizations. It is making them come to the table. If you learn to cut the head of the snake off, the rest of the snake can't operate without the head of the snake. Now, here's where I want to make sure that I get my opinion across. I don't want to see death. I don't want to see bombings. But if someone threatens a nation and they keep on threatening, and remember, Hezbollah has bombed hundreds from Lebanon into Israel. Now, everybody gives bad cred to Israel for bombing into Lebanon, but there's missiles flying on them. Hundreds. Do you think that's fair? If Mexico shot 100 missiles into Texas, do you think we would just sit there? Gosh, I mean, with Biden and Harris, we might. But the truth be told, we would want to go and destroy whoever did that. I like how Israel is willing to say, I'm going in and I'm going to tear it up. That is a good thing. War is terrible. Death is terrible. But you know what? I don't blame anybody but the terrorists that were in the areas. And guess what? I blame Lebanon, I blame Yemen, I blame all these areas that allow these terrorists to have homes there. Come on. That's like saying, okay, as a Mexican town, allow the cartels to have rights here and they can do what they want. Well, eventually that will come back and bite you, because guess what? Then they ruled the towns. Same way with the terror situations. So I like how Israel is taking these leaders out. I think that's huge. I actually think this is what America should be doing when it comes to foreign situations. Don't do 20-year wars. Go in, dominate, take over, win the war, get out, finish it up. That's our job. Not to stay in wars for 20 years and take our American troops over there for no apparent reason. Most of this is done without even going footsteps into these areas. So no troops are hardly harmed. Boy, I wish we would learn something about that instead of having thousands of our men fight to lose their lives for really nothing. What did we gain in Afghanistan? We gained a huge deficit. We had loss of life. And 20 years later, we've lost all our military, our base, to the same people that we, quote unquote, were going to fight against. We can learn something here. And lastly, Christians and conservative parents, you don't realize it, but the more you send your kids to these public government schools, the more they're going to rule over them and change them away from you. You don't believe me? There's states, California is one of them, but there's about 5 to 7 states that are now passing laws And Daily Caller reports on it, says that kids are being taken away from non-affirming parents. I don't think you realize the severity of that. You know who causes this? Them being around worldly people all the time, and them being in these school systems that teach this garbage. The reason kids are influenced is because they're kids. They get impacted. When we're immature, we get impacted by people. We love Superman, we love Spider-Man, we love, this basketball great. We love All-Stars. We are influenced by these people. Well, if us as parents are not impacting our children and bringing them home for homeschool or putting them in conservative areas, and we just let the liberals and the leftist states take our children to these government schools, don't be thinking you're going to get these same kids back. And what is happening now is you as a parent are losing rights to where your kids can be taken from you because you're not affirming their mental health problems, that they have been impacted and influenced by school systems and by leaders that we call so-called leaders, but really people who want to indoctrinate your children. You don't believe this is happening? Go read the article. There's a Daily Caller article about how a parent is trying to fight back. And we've seen this all over some of these leftist liberal states. If you're in these areas and you're conservative, you've got to get out. I know Christian conservative parents that homeschool in California. Now I know everybody's like, oh, we have pretty good rights over here. Yeah, but it gets to a point where, why do you want your kids growing up in, modern day Sodom and Gomorrah? Why do you want your kids growing up in these areas like this? I don't get it. Because you're risking the fact that someone is going to put you on a place where they're going to be able to have the option to take your children because of something you taught or didn't teach. This is happening right now. And Christians, I want you to stand up even more. You have 3 weeks. You better be figuring out what to do and start talking like conservatives and talking about Christianity and really how it impacts you. Take Trump and Kamala out of this. What party represents your faith? You could probably say none. But what party is more honest about representing your freedom and liberty to practice your faith? There's only one, and that's the conservative Republicans. That is the fact of what Trump is standing for. Does that mean he is going to be your Bible study teacher? Nope. But it does mean he gives you the freedom to do it. You know what Kamala's pushing? The same stuff that I just said. Affirming children to basically make their own choices as immature children. And if that means taking your kids away, they will flip and do it. Pay attention to what is actually happening. And you better get out of these liberal areas. Because if you don't, I hate to say it, I told you so, but I've warned you and I've told you so, that this will happen. Because it's just like anything else. It's easy to live when we're in easy conservative areas. But when we're in these areas that are very liberal and your children is the only one in that school system that might have a normal mom and dad and a normal conservative upbringing, you believe they're not going to be coerced to think like all the rest of the other kids? What do you think college has done to most people? It's scary times. Take this serious, because without truly being proactive in your children's life, we're going to see more and more of this happening. Don't let them take your kids. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Again, check out the sponsor of today's video for pennies of the day. I mean, this is something I invested in too, because for pennies a day, you're protecting what your biggest asset is, which is your home. Remember, that's where we find safety, security, is in our home. Let's protect it digitally. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.